Welcome to today's webinar about Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central Wave 2 Fall Release improvements to the solution. My name is Marie Soleil. I am a Client Advantage Manager at Opendoor. Some of you might know me. I have a functional and technical background. I've been implementing Business Central for over 20 years now. I am also managing projects at Opendoor. During this webinar, I'll share key recent and planned Business Central application features. Some of the new features are already available in your Business Central environment or will be soon. Updates are being rolled out currently. They even started in Canadian sandbox environments earlier this week. So you will be able to take a peek at your environments to see some of these improvements. The improvements that we're going to see today were mainly submitted by users or partners through the Microsoft Dynamics Ideas site that you have access to using your Office 365 credentials. You can submit ideas to Microsoft and also share them with us so we can go and upvote them. Microsoft uses that information and the ideas that are submitted on that site to develop their roadmap and see what improvements are requested so that they can roll them out in future releases. So today we're going to look directly in Business Central and also on a couple of slides at the end at new features. So I'll switch over to Business Central so we can walk through improvements that have been released. Note that some of these features are available in preview, so they must be turned on, activated by an authorized user from the feature management page in Business Central. This feature management can be found by searching for feature management directly in Business Central. This page lists the features that are available in preview. Some might not apply because they're for localized versions. Others you want to make available either in your sandbox or production environment to some or all users. So you can turn them on by enabling the functionality from that page. I will say no to this question because we want to save time on the update so I can show you additional new features. The first improvement we have is on the finance areas, on the currencies. So you have more control with this new version on the exchange rate adjustment updates. So you can now run exchange rate adjustments only for selected customers, vendors, or bank accounts using the exchange rates batch job that is here, that you typically run on a monthly basis when doing your closing. So the usual screen here with options has not changed. What is updated is the ability to filter by different criteria on the different subledgers, so you can really run the adjustment for the period, but also for the records and accounts that you need to run the adjustments on. Still on the finance side, to help with data entry, in the sales and receivables setup, and also in the purchase and payable setup, you can set document default line types. So right now, when you open a new document, the line type will default to GL account, which is most often not the type you want to use on these documents, as typically you would be using items. So you can select a default type to make sure that the lines will default to the type you want. All the types that are typically available on a document are available to be set as a default. This doesn't prevent you from using the other types on your sales and purchase documents. It just facilitates data entry by putting default values on the initial lines. Customer vendor item and employee templates also have been improved to include additional fields. So when you manage your different templates, you have a card, so customer, vendor, or item card, where you have fields available, and the personalize option has been updated to let you add most, if not all, available fields and drag them on the page. So you can make the phone number a part of the template, or assign a default credit limits to new customer getting created. So you can add fields and remove them directly from the templates, and then make sure you have default values for the different templates that you make available to users in the system. Again, this is available on customer, vendors, items, and employees templates. You can also save those templates and apply them to one record or additional existing records. So you can select several records from a list and then apply apply the template to the record. This option is available under Actions and Apply Template. So you can update one or more entity with default values from the new updated templates. Still on the finance side, account schedules have been updated to include additional columns and include additional templates. So templates for analysis, revenue, and cash flow account schedules are now available as part of the Cronus or standard Microsoft offer for demo data and base configurations. Those can be adapted to use your own GL accounts, obviously. So you can start with by using those templates to configure. You can also, in the column layout, if we edit the column layout, you'll notice that we now have a budget name column that is a filter column where you can filter on one or more budgets when you create the account schedules to have them in the columns of your report. On the general navigation side, the Open and Edit in Excel has a new home. So there's a share button that has been added in the interface on list pages, but also on lines, where you can have the Open in Excel function, the Edit in Excel function, and also the Share to Teams link that will share a link to a record directly into Teams. So that you can send colleagues to the record you need to share with them. When we look at a document that has lines, you will also notice, and this one I know was wanted, desired, expected by many users. So you can open lines and edit document lines in Excel, which is very useful if you have purchase orders, for example, or sales orders that have several lines that you would want to edit at once. You can do it now with this new release. You have the option available. When editing in Excel, there was an addition to the add-in for clarification on the error messages. So it provides more information, and it's also clearer and easier to manage so that you can update and manage your data before you publish it back to Business Central. Another option that you have, and I'm going to grab a report to be able to show you that option. I'm going to go to the aged accounts receivable. So when you look at a report, you have a new option when you use the send to. You will notice that for Excel, you have the standard one with data and layout. This is the option that you currently add that will send a report, but with all the report formatting included to Excel. But you also have an option to send to Excel the data only. This will send the results of the report directly in Excel in a table format without all the formatting, the editor, and all the different columns and layout changes from the report itself. So you get a nice clean table that you can work with. So this option has been added. It's the Microsoft Excel document data only that you can use. We also have improved posting errors and warning messages. I'm going to switch to the sales order here. So here I have an order I want to ship with a 5,000 quantity that is more than what I have in stock currently. So I expect an error when I'm going to post because I prepared it in advance. But if you were to post it without knowing you have an error, it will prompt you with new information that was not available until recently. So when you have an error or a warning, it will indicate the message type to tell you if it's an error or a warning message. We'll also get a full description in plain English language or whatever language you selected that explain what the error is, where it comes from, and if you scroll all the way there or personalize your page to remove the additional columns if you don't need them, you will even get a support URL link that you can click on to get additional information on, in this case, working with dimensions, because I forgot to put a dimension on my order, and that's why I'm getting an error in this case. So you have clearer error messages that give you additional direction and guidance so that you can resolve them more easily. You also see that I have this pop-up that keeps coming up. You can turn that off if you don't want the tours to show. But there are, in this new version, additional tours and tooltips around the application that will help guide new users through the different steps of completing processes in Business Central. In this case, this tour would guide me through filling in order lines and processing my sales order. So you have these in several areas in the system, and you can turn these on and off either individually by just closing them and asking the system not to show them again, but also in my settings where you can turn them on or off. So it's really useful for newer users because you can learn more about Business Central as you go and walk through the different steps. I'm going to switch back to the presentation now because we have additional features that are coming out or came out recently. Payment reconciliation has been improved. The posting preview and the ability to reverse the GL register posted through a payment reconciliation might be the ones that were the most expected improvements or anticipated improvements by users. We also have additional enhancement to the bank reconciliations. So the ledger entries are filtered to catch only up to the statement's ending date. The test report layout has been updated. It is much simpler, and it also uses the statement date as a filter for the GL account and the bank account so that you can really focus on the period that you're reconciling. You can also do many-to-one matching. That is very useful for people who are reconciling payments from clients, sometimes from e-commerce sites that might come into the bank account as one collapsed entry, and then you have to reconcile it against several entries that were on the customer side. So it's much easier to match and reconcile those types of cash receipts. And also auto match is now available for the adjustment entries for differences that you can post during the bank reconciliation process. On the inventory management side, there are changes to non-inventory items and also variants. So if you use the requisition and planning worksheets as the starting point for your POs in your procurement process, you can now manually enter lines for non-inventory items on the worksheets. So that way you can include your non-inventory type items into the purchase order request. So you can use the same procurement process for all item types. You can also track statistics for non-inventory items by location in the same way as you can now do for items, regular items or resources. So that way you can have better insight into, for example, the location for which a service was purchased. You can also include item variance in demand forecast and register the anticipated demand not only with respect to locations and dates, but also with the item variance as well, which simplifies the inventory planning. I mentioned there are more tours and teaching tips. The Explore All button that is hidden under the pancake is now the Explore More roles. We're not seeing the pancake here, so I'm going to switch back so you know what I'm talking about. It is this button here. So the name has been updated, and you can use it to navigate to explore more rules. That gives you access to all menus, so for all areas in Business Central, but you also have subsections now where you can see all reports together, all admin tasks together too, so it's easier to navigate through the application. Obviously, permissions apply. I see everything because I'm a super user. I wouldn't have access to all this information if I did not have the proper permissions. Finally, other features, you have more fields available with personalization on several pages. So on the receipts, the shipments, the bank accounts, the chart of accounts, the journals, the different documents, they all have additional fields available to show on the cards and on the list. Source type and source number are also now standard in the general journal entries. You can, from the admin center, you can restart an environment in case you need to unlock it if you're running into issues. You can also copy environments of different types. So additional copying options are supported. So you can copy production to a new production environment. You can copy sandbox to sandbox, and you can also copy sandbox to production, which was previously not available. Finally, you can more easily select which Power BI reports you want to show in Business Central. So the Power BI report selections will give you a list of your workspaces and reports you have access to, because permissions from Power BI and Business Central apply in that case. So you can easily select them to display them on your role page. So that is a short, lightning fast overview of the improvements that are coming with version 19 and the subsequent update that is being rolled out currently. And we have time remaining for questions. If you have any, I am taking a peek at the question panes and also at the chat pane here to see if there are questions on the improvements or Business Central itself. Okay, I see that we have a question. Okay, when copying from Sandbox to production, is that extensions only or does it copy data as well? You can do a full restore with that option. So if we were wanting to copy data only from Sandbox to production, we would use configuration packages to select exactly what we want. In this case, we're talking about copying the whole environment, so the whole database, to either restore, which is also another option that is available, by the way. Now we can restore a production environment to a previous point in time, but we can also use a sandbox to copy it to a production. One example of when I would use that is pre-go live. We might want to do all our staging in a sandbox environment and then move it over, duplicate it to a production instance. How can we tell when it will be updated in our own environment? We will be in touch with all clients to assist with that, because we found that this is information that some of you might not have. In the Office Admin Center, when you go to manage your Business Central service, you should have at least one, at best 2 or 3 notification contacts. Microsoft will send notifications when an update is coming so that you know when the environment will be updated. We also have, as part of the ODT Client Advantage program, we have a new update protection plan in place that can help you manage those updates. So update dates, but also extension maintenance when required. Your account manager will actually be in touch with you to talk about this in the next week. I don't think there are additional questions, so I will thank you for your time, and we will see you next time for the next Open Door webinar. Thank you.